The tabletop takeaway.
Game mechanics on display.
Three designers share the stage.
Pick a genre and we'll play.
The tabletop takeaway.
Welcome back to the Tabletop Takeaway. I'm Trevor Muller-Hagel.
I'm Ananda Gunaratna.
And I'm Charlie McCarran.
And today we're starting our series on drafting games with Seven Wonders, the classic. Seven Wonders, if you're not familiar, is a pretty easy drafting game. Everyone is dealt an equal number of cards at the start of every age. And then you're just going to take one card, play it, and then pass the cards in the direction that the card states. After all of the cards have been played except for one, that last card is discarded, and you continue on to the next age. There's a lot of different things that go on here. Some of the cards are military. If you have the highest military, you can get points for that. More points depending on the higher age you're in. If you have science, there's specific scoring around that. That's very multiplicative and very interesting for people that like number stuff. And then there's also, the straight victory points, resources, all sorts of good things. Trading, which has a good trading mechanic in it that, you don't normally see in a lot of games that have all these other things going on. So I really like how that all works together and how it all flows together. Anything that I need to tack down on the description?
Well, it's worth mentioning that it's simultaneous.
Simultaneous action, yes.
Yeah. And the drafting method, pick and pass, is the term I've heard.
Oh, pick
anyways.
and pass. That's a good one.
Like Sushi Go is one of those that popularized it too, where you have the hand of cards, pick one, pass it. Yeah. We're going to be talking about a lot of different types of drafting throughout the series because there are just so many drafting games.
Oh, yeah. And so this is one of the original ones that, of board games, it's one of the first ones I think I played that was in the hobby world. This always has been with me. And so, when we were talking about doing drafting games, I immediately just said, Seven Wonders.
I remember I played it a long time ago. It was definitely one of the earlier games.
Sure.
For me. And
yeah. How does it feel playing it now?
It still feels pretty good.
Yeah. I had this weird memory about it being a longer game, like an hour and a half,
It's not.
But it's really not.
Very
30,
fast.
45 minutes reliably. I hadn't played it in maybe 6 to 10 years, somewhere in that range. And it's still I remembered all the simple little things. Some of the nuance was, out the door, but,
Well, and the nice thing is, when we played with 3 players, and it was very short, but it's not that much longer when you play with more people. The game scales amazingly well.
It's really as long as your slowest player.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing.
And I think a big factor in why it scales well is because it restricts all interactions to your neighbors.
Yeah.
So you always have 2 neighbors, right?
Right.
And you interact only with those 2 neighbors. You can only trade with those 2 neighbors by buying resources from each other. And you can only fight them militarily. You only conquer your neighbors or are conquered by them via military. You don't use your military against anyone else.
Yeah, which means, as you do grow the player count, that helps keep it very truncated and very clear as to what resolves.
Well, and it also makes the dynamics the same at any player count.
Right.
So that's... I think back when I played it, that was definitely one of the biggest things that I noticed about it. And I guess one of my biggest takeaways back then was in using neighbor mechanics to allow the game to scale well. And of course, in Sprocket Forge, I also use neighbor-based interactions. So that's definitely stayed with me.
Yeah. In terms of a drafting mechanic, how do you feel about pick and pass versus people taking turns and taking cards from the table or...
I like it. We just finished up the memory game series, right? And so you have this actual memory component. That's not a memory game, but this memory component of okay, I have this hand. There's 7 cards here. By the time it gets back to me, there'll still be more than half the cards left. So I need to take the one that I absolutely want at the beginning of this round. Because maybe if I take a resource first, people will pay me for that resource so they can build stuff. And so being able to kind of plan ahead for the future is really neat. It can slow it down, like I said, if you have your slowest people who are over analyzing like the exact card that they need for that very first perfect play. That can maybe drag it on a little bit, but like it's really not that bad.
They'd do that if it was turn-based.
It would be so much worse if it was turn-based.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, assuming they're not thinking. I mean, if they're thinking about it during your turn, then maybe it'll be a bit better. But
Yeah.
they're probably not doing that.
Probably not watching the game and seeing what's happening so they can respond. And
Yeah. I think pick and pass is great. Everybody understands how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to explain very little about pick and pass. And it can be done simultaneously, which is really nice. You have interaction built into it because you're like, oh, Charlie's going for science. I'm going to bury the science underneath my pyramid. Mm-hmm. Oh, did we talk about the wonders? How those...
Oh, I missed the wonders. So you also build the wonders by playing kind of a random card that you draw. It doesn't have to be anything specifically. You place it face down under your wonder, and as long as you pay the resource cost, then you can complete it.
It's basically something that you can do if you don't like any of your cards.
Yeah.
Or if there's a card that you don't want someone else to get, you can use it on your wonder.
Yep.
You don't get the card's effect, but you get your wonder's effect instead.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Which, if you build up your wonder, it can be a pretty decent effect, but maybe it doesn't quite play out as well as getting the best card from an age.
Yeah, I think in general, the effects from the wonders are usually not better than the effects you can get from a card.
Sure.
I think. I mean, some of them are a little bit different, but yeah, in general, the main benefit is that it's an option that's always available to you. It's very predictable. I think is maybe the advantage to the wonder. You can always do that if there's nothing better that you have to do.
Absolutely, yeah. You can also sell cards, which I forgot to mention as well.
Right.
So if something's real trash and you don't have the resources to pay, or you don't have any money to do what you need to do, you're going to sell a card for 3 money just so you can get some economy flowing again.
We should maybe talk about how the economy works, because I think this is another really, really cool thing about this game. Mm-hmm. So trade in Seven Wonders is what I think of as passive trade, which means that unlike a game, for example, Catan, where players are negotiating, here, I'll trade this sheep for a brick or whatever.
Right.
In Seven Wonders, it's just, I have resources, you have resources, and I can just buy your resources from you. You cannot refuse to sell them to me. And in fact, you don't even do anything. I just give you money.
You give me money for my stuff.
Use your stuff. And I suppose one reason this works is because resources are not tokens that you spend. It's just every turn you have a certain number of resource symbols that you can use to build things.
Sure.
If you don't use them, then they're wasted. They don't stockpile or anything.
Right. Yeah, and it's really interesting having that kind of capacity per play, so to speak. And it's not like I used my 2 stone, so none of you can use my 2 stone. It's that you have 2 total stone available for every build.
Yeah, I mean, what it is really is it's a threshold, right? It's like the icons in Spirit Island, the element icons. It's a threshold. Whether or not you meet it, the symbols are just there.
Yeah, the symbols aren't spent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suppose the main difference with Spirit Island's thresholds is that in Spirit Island you can use the same elements to satisfy multiple thresholds, which makes you feel very clever. But in this game, because you're only playing 1 card per round, you can't really take advantage of that aspect of thresholds. This is, I guess, this is one thing that I think is really cool about threshold costs in general. Is that you can use the same resources to pay for multiple things.
Yeah.
That was a major part of my game Weavers, where you were trying to satisfy multiple spells with the same, because it was using a threshold-based cost system. So
sure.
But Seven Wonders doesn't really take advantage of that, which is not a problem. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
So one fun thing for me is that I also recently purchased Seven Wonders Architects, and I played that over the past couple of years. I say recently. In terms of how long I've played Seven Wonders versus this. And I played, in my mind, for some reason, it played a lot faster, though it took us a half an hour to play Seven Wonders just now.
How much faster can it be?
Yeah, how much faster could it be? And I think it's because we had 6 or 7 people playing on my birthday party last year, and we didn't feel like 6 people were playing a game together, or like it didn't feel like that time. You know, they kept the neighbor mechanics. They strengthened that, in my opinion, a little bit. They reduced the choice, so you only have choice between 2 things that you can see, and then 1 thing in the center that you don't know what it is, and that's all your choices. And you don't advance in ages,
right?
But then you're taking turns, yeah.
Which is an interesting move, considering like the simultaneous is.
But like you'll do an action, and then before you know it, it's your turn again. It's like, oh, I just went. So like people could just like as soon as someone takes a card, it's time for the next person to go. And when you only have 3 choices, 2 of which you know, like left or right is a very easy choice to make. Mm-hmm. It's very binary. So like, yeah, I think that just removes a lot of the thinking overhead. It's like, oh yeah, no, I want to go for my military. Yeah. Oh, they got military. Oh no, I need to get that higher. So yeah, it's very quick and a lot simpler. Scoring is a lot simpler. Everything works a lot more simply. So I think it's also more accessible to more people.
Yeah.
Who don't want to do all the extra thinking about like scoring points and things like that. The points are much more clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about, I feel like this base version of Seven Wonders does reward people who've played before. Because we've all played before.
Yeah.
You know what's coming.
You know what's coming and what to prep for, and like that seems like a good way to think about pick and pass games in general. Is like you kind of have to know what's possible out there.
Yeah.
Or at least like, yeah, the more complicated the cards get, the better it is to know what's in the deck.
Yeah, and that's actually a really important difference too, I think, between the 2 games. Because Seven Wonders, you know, you have to have resources potentially to build a card, or you could have previous version of the card. So like, you know, the theater can help you build a statue, and so like that is really interesting and a lot more deep of a mechanic. Where architects, all of the resources just help you build your wonder. They do nothing else. There's not a specific cost for your wonder. You're actually doing more of a match game with the different resources. And so like they just made it a lot simpler, a lot more approachable. But then you lose that depth of interest and like having that memory of the game and like, okay, and then I can do this and then I can do this. Maybe there's less of a desire to like repeat play the game so you get better at it.
Yeah.
And it's more something fun you can break out with just like, oh yeah, let's just play this game real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of brought me, as we were talking, it brought me back to my favorite way to play Magic the Gathering.
Oh.
Now, I mean, I used to collect cards and like really go for like custom decks that just really are awesome. But actually now I really enjoy the drafting method.
Oh, yeah.
Open a pack, take 1 card from the pack and then pass it. And that method is so satisfying because you get this feeling of exploration too.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, what could be
What
out
did they
there?
open? Oh, what did you open? What did everyone open?
Yeah, which is like Seven Wonders base game because I played it enough. I didn't get that feeling of exploration. Like, ooh, what could be in this deck? But I think like it's a good way for them to sell expansions too. Like, ooh, what do you know?
Oh, yeah.
But like a similar game in this vein too. It's a Wonderful World, I think.
Oh, I haven't played that one yet.
You guys played that, but
yeah,
it feels like an advanced sort of Seven Wonders, just in a different vein. But yeah, that games like that are pretty satisfying too. To like, what could even be in this deck? Just like playing a new game for the first time.
And accidentally getting a combo of resources that helps you build something in the future that you had no idea was coming, but it's like, oh, that's awesome. Great.
Yeah. And maybe that's my takeaway is like, I've heard this advice before of like, specifically from Ben at Floodgate, is like, make a game where you can luck into, or you can like stumble into good things.
Oh,
like
sure.
he says that with Sagrada, another drafting game where you're drafting dice, and it's like you're gonna find a way that you accidentally like make good things happen, rather than like I draft something and now I'm stuck.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
That reminds me a little bit of Mechs versus Minions, where you just randomly stomp things without...
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, every card you take in Mechs versus Minion is going to be stronger than the previous one if you match the colors with the previous card. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys have for takeaways?
Well, I think this is not a new takeaway, but my biggest takeaway from Seven Wonders, I think, has always been the neighbor system, of having people interact just with their neighbors as a way to make the games very scalable and also make it a bit more manageable for people. Because, if you only have to care about your neighbors, that makes it a lot easier to think about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So for me, I would lean towards how the drafting is very simple, but also feels very much like these are my resources. This is what I have, and I'm building something. And so, like, focusing on the interaction between the draft and the engine, so to speak, I think is a really cool way to go about it. Obviously, there's like a lot of other games out there that practice that as well, but I didn't really think too much about how drafting can also be used to hurt my neighbors as well. Taking cards that I know that they might be going for. If I had taken a different science card and used that for my wonder, that would have made Ananda get fewer points. There's actually some depth of strategy to the draft, and so having multiple reasons to choose a card, I think, is going to be the biggest takeaway for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up there, and tune in next time for the next drafting game.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Tabletop Takeaway. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. So please tell your friends and visit our website at thetabletoptakeaway.com, where you can suggest games and mechanics for us to cover next on the show.